Imagine spending your entire life trying to be, a good person.
Right, just trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, staying perfectly healthy and meticulously achieving all your personal and professional goals.
Ticking all the boxes.
Exactly. Only to be told that the desire for those exact things is, well, it's the reason you are absolutely miserable.
It completely defies every instinct we have about self-improvement, doesn't it?
It really does. It's so counterintuitive.
I mean, we are hardwired biologically and culturally to accumulate things. We accumulate wealth, we accumulate relationships, and we even try to accumulate spiritual milestones.
It's like getting a high score in spirituality.
Right, treating enlightenment like it is just another credential to add to our resume.
And that is exactly the illusion we are shattering today on this deep dive. So we are looking at this really fascinating, esoteric, and honestly highly provocative text. It was written in August 2020 by an author named Sufeng.
Translated by Kinyu and edited by Carrie?
Yes,
Right.
exactly. And the source is titled, get this, You Are a Celestial Being When Your Mind Abides Nowhere.
Such a striking title.
It is. And for you listening, our mission today isn't to convert you to a specific religion or belief system.
No, not at all.
We are just here for an impartial, intellectual exploration of a philosophy rooted in really radical, uncompromising detachment. Okay, let's unpack this, because this source material promises nothing less than the secret to becoming a celestial being.
Which it defines as a state of total freedom, right?
Yeah, complete freedom from worry and restraint.
What's fascinating here is the text's central, unyielding paradox.
Tell me about it.
Shuafeng argues that achieving this boundless, ultimate freedom requires letting go of absolutely everything you currently value.
Literally everything.
Everything. It is a complete deconstruction of the human experience. You don't get to a higher state of existence by building yourself up. You get there by entirely dismantling yourself.
Okay, so before we figure out the mechanics of giving up everything, we probably need to understand what we are supposedly becoming, right?
Okay, the actual goal.
Because Sufeng doesn't just offer life advice. The text sets up this incredibly grand metaphysical framework. We are talking about a cosmic scale here, consisting of 20 parallel worlds.
Wow.
Yeah, and they are situated within a 36-dimensional space. And out of all the countless lives scattered across those dimensions, the text claims the most unrestrained, free lives belong to celestial beings.
The cosmology is just vast. It places our standard human experience as just one tiny, restricted layer of this massive hierarchy.
Exactly.
And Shuafeng is very specific about the operational state of these celestial beings. They are open, they leave things entirely to fate, and they're completely unfettered.
Unfettered, yeah.
The author beautifully describes them as beings who fill mountains and rivers with love, spread affection everywhere, and take things exactly as they are.
But there is that one phrase, right? The defining characteristic.
Yes, the phrase that really anchors this entire philosophy is that celestials never do anything, yet allow all things happen through them.
Never do anything, yet allow all things happen through them. I love that phrasing so much.
It's very poetic.
It is, but it also immediately brings to mind a piece of modern technology for me. A smartphone.
A smartphone. How so?
Well, think about your phone when you have 50 apps open in the background. You've got your email constantly refreshing.
Oh, GPS tracking your location.
Exactly. 3 different social media apps downloading updates, and a podcast playing. The battery is draining rapidly, the processor is overheating.
And if you try to open the camera, everything just lags.
Right. You, as a regular human navigating the world, are that phone with all the apps open. You are bogged down by your attachments, your grudges, your ambitions.
Your worries about tomorrow.
Yes, all running in the background.
That is a brilliant way to visualize the burden of human consciousness, honestly. Every worry, every desire is just a background process consuming your limited psychological bandwidth.
Exactly. So becoming a celestial being, according to this text, is like a smartphone that has force-closed every single background app.
I see.
You aren't doing anything. There is no battery drain. There is no lagging processor. It is just pure, optimal, frictionless existence, perfectly ready to respond to whatever happens next, because there's absolutely nothing running in the background.
And this brings us to the operational reality. How do you actually force close those apps?
Yeah, how do we do it?
Schiffing lays out a very specific trajectory for this, starting with 3 foundational methods. The first is to repay your debts and your worldly ties, and completely separate yourself from the secular world.
Which perfectly aligns with the background app analogy.
It really does.
Paying your debts isn't just about zeroing out your credit card balance, you know? It is about zeroing out the energetic balance sheet of your social existence.
You have to tie up every loose end so there is no external drama dragging your attention back into the mundane world.
Okay, what's the next step?
The second method is to create ties with celestials and accumulate merits and virtues.
Okay.
Then the third method demands a process of total internal alchemy. The text says you must transform human affection into celestial affection, human nature into celestial nature, and the human world into the celestial world.
That feels like an impossibly massive leap.
It's a huge undertaking.
Right. I mean, it's one thing to settle a dispute with my neighbor, ending a worldly tie, but transforming my fundamental human nature into celestial nature seems like an entirely different category of effort.
And Zufeng is completely transparent about that difficulty. The text makes it clear that completing these three steps, repaying debts, accumulating merit, and transforming your nature, that is merely the prerequisite.
Wait, that is just the prerequisite.
Yeah, that is just the basic groundwork required before you can even attempt the true core of this philosophy.
Wow.
The absolute key to the entire system is achieving what the title dictates, the concept of abiding nowhere.
You are a celestial being when your mind abides nowhere. To explain this, the text anchors itself in a teaching from Shakyamuni Buddha, right?
Yes, it does.
The quote is, "Our minds should not abide in form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or dharma, but actually abide nowhere."
So let's break down the mechanics of abiding nowhere. Zufeng explains it as a state where your eyes do not focus on the things you see, and you refuse to attach any significance to what your sense organs perceive.
So you are experiencing the world, but you aren't gripping it.
Exactly. And the inclusion of Dharma in that list is crucial.
Wait, dharma, as in the spiritual teachings themselves, so the text is telling us not to attach ourselves to the very rules we are currently reading.
That is the ultimate paradox of advanced spiritual texts. The classic metaphor is using a raft to cross a river.
Right, once you reach the other side, you don't pick the raft up and carry it with you on dry land.
Exactly, you leave it behind. Dharma represents the teachings, the methods, the raft. Zufeng is saying you cannot become obsessed with the methodology of enlightenment.
You just have to let it go.
You must keep an empty mind until literally nothing exists.
Yeah.
Not even the rules of how to be enlightened.
Well, Zhuefeng clearly realizes that saying abide nowhere might still be too abstract for us. So here's where it gets really interesting. Because the text provides a list of things you absolutely must eliminate from your heart to achieve this state.
And it is an incredibly specific, sweeping list.
It really is. The author writes that in your heart, there should be no relative, no enemy, no country, no ethnicity.
It is a systematic dismantling of every sociological, cultural, and biological anchor that gives a human being their identity.
But the list doesn't stop there, and this is where I really struggle with the practicality of this text.
What else is on it?
It continues, saying there should be no money, no goal, no religion, no political party, no family, no fame, no wealth or position. And it goes further. No health or longevity, no delicacy, no laws or regulations, no precepts, no Buddha, no celestials, no self-refinement, no self-improvement, no success, no failure.
That is a lot to empty out.
Let's pause on that. The text says we must actively have no desire for health, no desire for success, and not even hold a Buddha or a celestial in our minds.
That's what it says.
If my goal is to survive and function in society, how can I abandon the desire for health? And more importantly, if my goal is to become a celestial being, how can I have no celestials in my mind?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Zufeng is identifying the ultimate trap of the human ego.
Okay, walk me through that.
Every single thing on that list, including the seemingly positive desires like wanting to be healthy, wanting to be a good person, or wanting to achieve spiritual enlightenment, requires an I.
An I.
Yes. I want to be healthy. I want to improve myself. I want to become a celestial.
Ah, I see. As long as there is an I desiring a specific outcome, my mind is abiding somewhere. It has attached itself to a future condition.
Precisely. The text views even the most noble desire for spiritual self-improvement as a very subtle, insidious form of ego.
Interesting.
It is still the ego trying to acquire something to make itself feel better or superior. To truly abide nowhere means discarding the very framework of success and failure.
So you can't even try to succeed at this.
Exactly. The moment you say, I am going to abide nowhere so I can succeed at becoming a celestial, you have automatically failed because your mind is abiding in the concept of success.
Man, that is a brutal psychological knot to untangle. Has anyone actually achieved this state, or is this purely a theoretical ideal?
The author asserts this is not only possible, but currently happening.
Really? Where?
Schuemann claims this state of mind is the literal reality for lives in dimensions they call the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Islands continent.
Okay, but what about here on Earth?
Grounding it in our reality, the text explicitly names a group called Chanyuan celestials. It states that many real people following this path have fundamentally succeeded at this practice of abiding nowhere.
So if you are listening to this and you are entirely fed up with your 50 background apps, how do you actually follow the curriculum of these Chanyuan celestials?
It's quite the process.
If my goal is to empty my mind, my first instinct is to go sit quietly in a dark room and try to think about nothing. But Suifeng prescribes a surprisingly academic, rigorous syllabus instead.
It is an unprecedented level of spiritual syncretism. Suifeng doesn't tell you to just sit in the dark. The author demands you synthesize the teachings of major figures across entirely different traditions.
Like who?
The text says you achieve this state by listening to Jesus Christ, Buddha Shakyamuni, Immortal Laozi, Master Bodhidharma, and Deiform Buddha.
It is attempting to smash together the core tenets of Christianity, Buddhism, and Taoism into one unified grand theory of detachment.
And Suifeng names the exact source materials you need to consume: the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the Diamond Sutra and the Heart Sutra,
Okay.
the Tao Te Ching, the Dharma Patriarch's bloodline theory. And alongside these ancient pillars, the author's own comprehensive writings, which are the Chanyuan corpus and the Suifeng corpus.
So you read all of that, you absorb all these converging philosophies of ego death, and Suifeng guarantees that you will abide your mind nowhere.
Yes, that's the promise.
But there is a moment right after this heavy, austere reading list that completely changes the tone of the text.
It really catches you off guard.
Right after demanding you synthesize the deepest texts in human history, Suifeng writes in parentheses, quote, "If you cannot do them this way, then I can marry you."
It is a genuinely shocking tonal shift for a text dealing with multidimensional cosmology and the absolute dissolution of the self.
I physically double-taked when I read that. We are talking about 36-dimensional space, abandoning your family, your country, your health, and then suddenly the Ossikas is in, hey, if the Diamond Sutra doesn't work out, I can just marry you.
It is so deeply eccentric.
Extremely eccentric.
But that eccentricity serves a purpose, actually. Most traditional spiritual texts maintain a highly elevated, relentlessly serious tone that places the author on an untouchable pedestal.
Yeah, they are usually very dry.
This sudden, quirky, almost humorous personal guarantee shatters that austerity. It breaks the mold, revealing an author who is intensely serious about the philosophy, but seemingly playful about their own role as a guide.
It definitely humanizes the text, but we shouldn't mistake that humor for leniency because there is a glaring vulnerability in the idea of emptying your mind.
Just.
How do you know you are actually achieving enlightenment and not just falling for the latest spiritual scam?
Oh, absolutely.
Schuffing seems keenly aware of this trap and fiercely pivots to a critique of the modern spiritual marketplace. The author expresses intense disdain for web-based chicken soup for the soul,
Dismissing it entirely as elusive thinking.
The critique here is piercing and incredibly relevant. Schuffing points out that people spend their days eagerly reading articles by the big gods, big Buddhas, big celestials, and great masters of the web.
They spend their money and their life. The text warns that when you are on your deathbed looking back, you will find you understand nothing and have gained absolutely nothing.
It perfectly describes the modern phenomenon of toxic productivity and wellness grifting.
Yes.
We consume self-improvement constantly. We bounce from one guru's podcast to a manifestation workshop, paying thousands of dollars for retreats, buying crystals, downloading meditation apps.
We feel a dopamine hit because we think we are doing the work.
Exactly. But Sweffing is saying you haven't moved an inch. You are just expending processing power running a new spirituality app in the background.
Suifeng captures the danger of this cycle with a vivid, tactile metaphor: the cave of the silken web.
Silken web.
The text warns that no matter how much you spin around consuming all this internet wisdom, you cannot elude this web.
The more you thrash around trying to find the perfect philosophy to save you, the more tangled you get in other people's ideas, preventing you from actually freeing your own mind.
This raises an important question about the specific hazards of our current environment. Suifeng describes the era we are living in as a degenerating time.
A degenerating time, that sounds ominous.
In this specific period, the text warns that entities from all walks of life, gods, Buddhas, celestials, but also demons, devils, and monsters, are all actively prowling for descendants.
They want to pull you into their specific strand of the silken web.
Exactly.
And the terrifying part is that the methods used by the demons and devils are often the most attractive. They have the best marketing.
Quick fixes, magical powers, instant community.
Yes.
Right.
So how do we spot the traps? Shuifeng actually provides a diagnostic list of red flags, specific environments to avoid.
What's the first one?
First, hustling and bustling places. The text claims this is where disasters gather. Second, places with many disciples.
Places with many disciples.
Yeah, Shuifeng argues the more disciples a place has, the more problematic it is.
That completely inverts our modern reliance on social proof. Today, if an influencer or a spiritual teacher has 2 million followers, we automatically assume their sheer popularity validates their teachings.
Because everyone else trusts them.
Right. So Feng argues the exact opposite. The massive crowd is the primary warning sign that you are entering a web of ego, not a space of genuine detachment.
Because the ego loves a crowd. It loves the validation of being part of a massive movement.
So true. What are the other red flags?
They continue. Mysterious and spooky places are where demons make waves. Sneaky places are where ghosts abound. And finally, places where people practice magical arts.
The text is unsparing here. It says these are places where paranoid people possessed by devils feel good about themselves but have fundamentally lost their true natures.
It is a sweeping indictment of everything from mainstream megachurch, religious congregations, the bustling places with many disciples, to the esoteric cult fringes where people chase supernatural abilities.
The desire for magical arts is just another profound attachment. Zuofeng is telling the reader to categorically reject all of it.
So, if the massive congregations are a trap, and the mysterious occult fringes are a trap, and the entire internet is a silken web of grifters, what is the actual solution? How do we navigate this degenerating time?
The author's final advice cuts through all the noise. You must ignore the crowds entirely.
Ignore them all.
The directive is to keep the sacred lamp in your own heart burning and go straight to the source, the greatest creator.
And how do you go straight to the source without getting tangled in a web? We arrive right back where we started. You achieve it by force closing every app.
You become a celestial by abiding your mind nowhere.
You don't need the bustling temples. You don't need the validation of a million disciples. You don't need to purchase a magical course.
You just need the profound, terrifying discipline to empty your mind of all of it.
So what does this all mean? We've covered a 36-dimensional cosmos, a massive reading syllabus attempting to unify world religions, a highly eccentric marriage proposal, and the treacherous cave of the silken web.
We really went everywhere today.
We did. But whether you buy into the existence of parallel worlds or not, Shuofeng's 2020 text serves as a profound, almost aggressive intervention against our modern obsession with acquisition.
It really is.
We are constantly conditioned to believe that the solution to our anxiety is to acquire more. More wealth, more status, more guru advice, more spiritual practices.
And for you, the listener, navigating a daily reality characterized by severe chronic information overload, there is an incredibly grounded practical application to this esoteric philosophy.
How can they apply it?
We walk into the cave of the silken web every single time we open a browser or scroll through a feed. The radical idea of actively choosing to empty the mind, to practice letting go of our rigid, exhausting attachments to our political identities, our grudges, our goals, and even our desperate need to be considered successful, is a necessary approach to finding genuine peace amidst the deafening noise.
It's the realization that true peace isn't found by downloading a better meditation app to your phone. It is found by turning the phone off entirely.
Well said.
But as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final lingering paradox to mull over on your own.
I love a good paradox.
It's the philosophical knot at the very center of Shuofeng's teachings that really deserves to be sat with. The text insists that to reach this state of ultimate celestial freedom, you must hold absolutely nothing in your heart. You can have no goals, no desire for success, and you cannot even hold the concept of a Buddha or a celestial in your mind.
Right, complete emptiness.
So if that is true, does the very act of trying to follow this text's rules in order to become a celestial being automatically disqualify you from ever becoming one?
Oh, wow.
If your mind is abiding in the desire to achieve this grand cosmic state, are you permanently trapped by your own desire to escape?
That is the inescapable labyrinth of the ego and the ultimate daily test of truly abiding nowhere.
It really is. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. See what happens today if you try, even just for a few moments, to close all the background apps and let your mind abide nowhere. We'll catch you next time.